Okay, welcome back. I actually finally have my desk set up. So sorry about the old crappy recordings of the other ones. Because I finally have set up my desk. And yes, I'm getting a blanket. It's cold. Today we are going to talk about dark secrets. And no, they're not my secrets. We're going to be reading. It says, people reveal the dark secret they know about someone close to them. So we're just going to jump right in. Your father was not the man you think he was. Is the title. My friend's son, she's his mother, believes his father and stepfather both had heart attacks and died around the same time. In reality, his real father was touching him inappropriately, and his stepfather went to his house and shot him in the head and then committed suicide. This boy was the stepdad's entire world in all ways except biological. He was this boy's real father. It absolutely devastated my friend for years afterward. She would wake up in the middle of the night with her son's head on her chest. He was checking to make sure her heart wasn't attacking her. It was all over the news, and I always hope for his sake that he never Googles his father or stepfather's name. To this day, he wants to be a heart surgeon so that no one else he loves will die of a heart attack. That is really actually sad. I don't think his stepfather should have committed suicide for that or been arrested for that, because he was just protecting the little boy from being violated. And I think that is actually sustainable. Just me. Caught in the middle of it. My parents are cheating on each other. They both don't know. My mom accidentally texted me a dirty message that wasn't meant for me and made me promise not to say anything to my dad. I had to use my dad's phone a couple of weeks later when my phone died, and he got an inappropriate text from someone that wasn't my mom. He made me promise not to tell my mom. I've been keeping this secret for 2.5 years now. It's torturous. Why don't you just tell them, and then they can just end this charade, and you wouldn't have to be tortured in the middle of this situation. Not quite happily ever after. My friend married his wife about 2 years ago. She's a Thai woman, about 20 years his junior, and quite status quo. By all appearance, they've got a good thing going. They seem happy enough and have a little boy. After drinking one night, he told me about how he found her on the internet. Their basic arrangement is that she would fly over and be his wife, and he would send money to her mother back to Thailand every month. Apparently, hasn't been going well. He told me about how he fears she might just up and leave him. He told me he thinks he should hide her passport so she can't run back to Thailand. Yeah, kind of dampened my liking of the guy. So basically, he's paying this woman's mother in order for him to keep her daughter as a wife. That is actually really sad. Showed up to a strange birthday party. A friend in high school had a baby, and that her family decided to raise and take custody of. But the way I found out is something else I'll never forget. It was impressive how under wraps the whole thing was, and it seemed believable that her parents would have had another baby. She got pregnant at 13. People, please do not get pregnant at 13. It is not easy. Even if you want a kid, you don't want one right now. Trust me. I dropped by one weekend to drop off an item my friend loaned me for prom and saw that a birthday celebration was going on for the toddler. Her face when she saw me was a mixture of emotions. I didn't know if she was in pain, upset, angry. It seemed like everything was running through her at the same time. When I asked if she was alright, she just broke down and started crying. She cried about how hard it was waking up and calling her son little brother. How hard it was to know she was so unfit to be a mom that her parents wouldn't even acknowledge the fact that biologically it was her kid. I just listened and let her cry. We never spoke about it after that. I don't think there was any need to. There's no way I could understand what she was going through. But I will always be there for her if it comes up again in our lifetime. That's sad. But you're 13 years old. I think they should still let the child acknowledge that you're his mother, but when you're 13, you can't really get much of a good job for that and to take care of the kid and go to school. So you should let your parents help, but I think they should still let you and the child acknowledge that you are his biological mother. Accidents happen all the time. He still feels ashamed of what happened that night. An older male friend of mine, he's 54, I'm 31. And I got really wasted together, and he confessed to me that his first intimate experience was when he was 15, and he was hitchhiking. He got picked up by a trucker who proceeded to point a weapon at him. The trucker then blew my friend, still holding the weapon. The thing that my friend agonizes over is that despite his terror, he actually finished. I am the only person he has ever told. Somehow I know a lot of these types of secrets about not only my friends, but also random strangers that I meet. I don't know what it is about me that just makes people want to confess messed up things to me. What's even more strange is my dad's secret is that I am the illegitimate daughter of a Catholic priest. So people confess things to my dad all day. It's like we are both paying for his secret by having to hear other people's messed up secrets constantly. Well, to be honest, sometimes when it comes to like your secret or a problem you're having, it's easier to tell somebody that you don't know and that's not even a friend than it would be to actually tell the family or tell your friends. Sometimes it's just easier because they don't know you, so they can't really judge you too much. Whereas your friends and your family know you very well, usually. These dudes can't face the truth. I lived with a dude back in college along with 3 other dudes. We'll call him Dude 1. One night we got a handle of the captain and decided the 5 of us would polish it off. Everyone got considerably hammered, and Dude 1 and Dude 2 went down to the basement to smoke. By this time, Dude number 3 and Dude number 4 was already passed out. I was too for a while, but woke up in a stupor to take a leak. When I got out of the bathroom, I heard a series of strange noises emanating from the basement, heavy breathing, a familiar slurping sound, and what sounded like someone wringing out a wet sponge over and over again. I decided to investigate. Oh my god, bad idea. Don't investigate that. I crept quietly down the stairs and peeked my head down below the ceiling, even though I was half in the bag. I'll never forget what I saw. Dude number 1 was on his knees between Dude number 2's legs. He was sitting on our smoking couch, furiously jerking himself off, while also blowing Dude number 2. What the fuck did I just read? I couldn't believe my eyes. They were both in long-term relationships with pretty attractive women. Dude number 2 has actually since gotten married. So I walked back up the stairs and passed out and never mentioned it to either of them, or anyone for that matter, until now. Dudes, if you're reading this, your secret is safe with me. Sort of. And that's really disturbing. I find it disturbing. I just read that. I shouldn't have read that. Her boss wasn't the innocent woman she thought she was. My old boss, and now friend, had her brother-in-law forcefully taken advantage of in prison when he was convicted of murdering his wife, my boss's sister. I found out because when I was 16, my stepfather was found guilty of abusing me throughout my teenage years and was sent to prison. I told my boss what was going on so she would know why I had been missing so much work, as I felt she would fire me otherwise. She took me out the back of the shop and told me how her sister had been murdered by her husband and how she and her husband had paid a lot of money to some shady people to arrange for him to be taken advantage of in the prison showers. My boss was a normal, motherly, middle-aged woman, so this blew my mind. She then offered to have the same thing done to my stepfather in prison for me. I politely declined. But to be honest, quit eating my book. Sorry, my cat was eating the book. But to be honest, I was kind of touched that she cared about me enough to do that for me. Obviously, what she did was super illegal, even though nothing would probably come of it if it did get out. Her brother-in-law stabbed her sister to death in front of their 2 young children because he was abusive and she had decided to leave him. So I can't really judge her for wanting to inflict as much pain as possible on that piece of garbage. I have no idea how she organized it or how she knew they followed through with it. I was too shocked to ask any follow-up questions. She did imply that she knew a few people inside the prison, though almost 10 years later, we're still friends, even though neither of us work at that shop anymore, and there's more than a 20-year age gap between us. We've never spoken of that conversation again, though. I wonder if she even remembers it. I would too. And yeah, I can see my cat in the background now. Sassy! She's not going to do nothing, that's Sasha. The most disturbing sound he will ever hear. This kid I went to high school would get it on with his dog. Ew. How a little backstory, I was over at his house hanging out with him. At one point, he went into his room and changed his clothes. About 5 minutes later, his parents asked him if I could go get his dog Rowdy and put him outside. So I'm walking to the back of the house to where I hear Rowdy making some noises. I open the door to the laundry room where Rowdy slept, and there's this guy pounding down on his dog. In the calmest blank face I could muster, I said, "Your mother wants Rowdy outside. He needs to take a bath," and walked away. I then proceeded to get completely hammered that night, hoping I could forget I had ever witnessed it. I did not succeed. I'm sorry, but that's extremely traumatizing. I would not succeed at that either, and that's disgusting. Poor dog. They were sitting together behind the school when out of nowhere she said it. When I was 12, a school friend told me that her older brother had been assaulting her and she was worried that she would get pregnant now that she got her period. The worst thing was that her parents knew. I told, and just not our peers, I told her teacher, and I guess that blew up. I'm fairly sure that older brother got what was coming to him, evil little psycho. To add some background, I didn't know her very well, but she was a very sweet, vulnerable child. Kids tended to stay away from her because she was a little off. To this day, I remember her face so well. She was very striking, white blonde hair and blue eyes. She had this really goofy laugh too. I was 12, but she was 13. We ended up hanging out one day behind our classroom, and she told me, "I've noticed that these kinds of things just come out." There was no preamble. One minute we were talking about nothing much, and next thing she offloaded all this heavy stuff. I questioned her about it, found out more details because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It's like she just needed someone to talk to. I won't get too detailed because it's been 10 years since I've seen her, and her business is her business. I kept that secret for a day. The weight of it just suffocated me. Even at 12, I could not just sit by and let this happen to another girl. I was worried that she would become pregnant. I would not let that happen, so I told her teacher. She took me seriously, and as far as I know, the family broke up and she moved with her mother. I distinctly remember her teacher crying over it later on. These days I feel like it never happened. I think of her from time to time and hope to God that things got better for her. She really was a sweet, kind child. That's horrible, but I'm actually happy she told, because some people, they'll agree to keep that kind of secret, but it's not good. So to all the people out there, if it comes down to it and you're keeping a secret like this, just tell somebody. You're not going to be punished for it. If you're telling the truth, you're not going to be punished. But the people who are doing it to you should be. And if you don't tell, there's a chance that when you grow up, they're going to find another little child to do the same thing too. Or they could end up doing it to your own kids. And it'd be harder to sit there and explain that you knew what was going on and didn't say nothing, and now they did it to somebody else's child. Because I would feel bad if that happened with me. If I didn't tell somebody when it was happening with me, and that poor little child got hurt too. A tragedy that could have been avoided. This is pretty sad. When I was only 1 week old, my parents were asked to babysit my twin cousin. Age 4, 1 male and 1 female, including myself and my siblings, 1 and 4-year-old. There were 5 children in the house. Well, at about 1 in the morning, when everyone was asleep, the male twin gets up by himself and starts playing with a lighter he found. Most of the adults in our family smoke, so lighters were a common sight. Don't leave those out where kids can get them. Well, my cousin sets the house on fire and runs to wake up my parents. The house is on fire, the house is on fire, he yells. For some reason, the fire alarms didn't go off. They rushed to get everyone out. After getting outside, my dad does a head count and realizes that one of the kids is missing. It's the female twin. She's still in the house. My dad rushes back inside, and at this point, the house is completely in flames. He tries to save the female twin. After several minutes of looking, he passes out from smoke inhalation and is badly burned. Paramedics save him, although he's in ICU for a long time, but are unable to find the female twin in time. She doesn't make it. After the fire is put out, they find the female twin crouched in a corner in the fetal position, having died of smoke inhalation. Everyone in the family pretends that someone left a little smoke in an ashtray which started the fire. As far as we know, nobody ever told my cousin that he started the fire that killed his sister, and they hope he was too young to remember. As many have told me, if anyone is to blame, it would be my parents for leaving a lighter within reach. They were young, 20 and 21, uneducated and poor. It was a horrible thing, and they accepted responsibility and never emotionally recovered from the incident. Please make sure to check your fire alarms and make sure your house is childproof. This is why we don't have lighters. My brother was a smoker. He still is. And when he lived with us, if he left the lighter out and one of the kids got a hold of it, that lighter became mine. It got locked up in my closet on a high shelf where they couldn't even reach. Because that's just horrible. You don't just leave things out. Never leave a lighter out where a kid can reach it. We're going to stop there, and I will be back for part 2.